Hey guys, Mark Levy here, host of Mark Remeets World. We're back. Another Monday, another new episode. So excited to have you guys here today. As you probably have noticed already, I have a new camera, and it feels very weird to be working with a new camera, but I'm very excited to see how this goes. As you probably noticed already, I'm investing in the show, and I'm so excited to see what happens. Today we have a guest with us, Josh Benjamin. We'll be getting to him in a moment. Of course, if you like the show, please rate us, comment, subscribe, share it with friends. I don't know. I mean, it's more fun to do things with friends, I always say. So, uh, whatever. If you haven't watched the episode yet, please tune in to it. It's easily accessible on Disney Plus and other ways that we can do. And after I come back from this break, we'll start talking about the episode with my guest, Josh Benjamin.
And we're back. I am so excited with my second official guest here, one of my best friends in the world, Josh Benjamin. How are you today, man?
I'm great, Mark. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Great. I'm really excited. This episode's a lot more fun than I remembered it being.
Yeah. I had a lot of fun watching this episode.
It's a really rich episode. It's definitely one of the ones they still find their feet, but it's a really fun one. I really enjoyed it a lot.
I mean, season one of any show, I feel is they're kind of now. Granted, there's those rare occasions where they come boom, guns blazing out of the gate. Season one starting strong, but across the board, at least in my TV watching experience, season one, it's kind of they're trying to get their wheels under them. Boys Meet World is one of these shows.
Yeah,
and it's fine. It's still a very wholesome and rich show. And their problem right now is that, or not problem rather, but like both season one, it's very clear. Okay, they're trying to follow that same vein as Full House, Growing Pains,
right?
All those little wholesome family comedies of the late '80s, early '90s. And then as the show progressed, they realized, okay, the decade's becoming a little more edgier. People are starting to grow up a little bit. And then they just adjusted accordingly, and they did a great job of it.
Yeah. Before we get started, I want to talk about the important data of the episode. Of course, it's called Boys to Mensa, which is a reference to the band Boys to Men, which was very popular back then in 1993. It aired on October 20th.
Also from Philly.
Yeah, that's true. I forgot about that. And it's also the Halloween episode, which aired on October 29th, 1993. Directed by David Trainer and written by Jeanette Cottitchis Burley. What a great name. The plot of the episode is really simple. Cory, sick and tired of feeling like an idiot, cheats on an IQ test.
Yeah, this whole test kind of gave me flashbacks growing up in New York City, in like 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, having to take those damn ERB tests. Like, look at these random math problems which we've never studied. Like, wow, you're measuring our intelligence on stuff we haven't even covered. Yeah, sure, okay.
Yeah, we didn't. I mean, it just like because I know I have to take an IQ test at least once in my life, but I don't think it happened in 6th grade. I'm not sure.
I never took any IQ tests per se, but like I just remember at the first school I went to, it's this really hippy dippy private school in Manhattan called the Calhoun School. Shout out to the Cougars. And so I just remember once a year, usually like at or about spring break time, they would put the entire grades at in the cafeteria or in another room, give us the damn bubble sheets and the pencils, and the teachers would just get really intense. So like even though this test has no bearing on our individual academic performance, they just got really intense. Like, make sure you check your work. Don't read if you finish early. Go back and look at everything.
Yeah, Sorry.
And I remember I'm just sitting there going, yeah, but you're saying this test on the whole doesn't matter. Stop treating it like it does.
I remember back
is stupid sometimes.
Yeah, I remember back in like 8th grade in Florida, we had this thing called FCAT. FCAT, yeah, which Jeb Bush was pushing really, really hard.
Mm-hmm.
And the B plot of the episode is Morgan's trying to get a Halloween costume. That's probably the best way to put that.
Yeah, it was great.
This is a really rich episode in ways I totally forgot about. Let's start at the top of the episode. So Cory puts a clown nose on at the top of the episode, and I also had a clown nose that I frequently had, but I was afraid to put on in school.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
I had a few clown noses. I think I may have brought them to school once or twice, but like I had that right when kids were starting to move away from clown.
Yeah, no, like I was afraid to like because I was so uncool that I was afraid to like try to do anything like that. Plus, at my school, it was kind of strict to a Jewish day school at this time. So like when I had them, but like I would always have I always had like 2 clown noses in my house.
Yeah, one thing that struck me from the top of the episode, they're in 6th grade. Who still does book reports in 6th grade?
I sure 1993, we were, like in like 2nd or 3rd grade. So
I was in 2nd grade, 93.
Right, same here. And yes, I was in 2nd grade then. And because we're the same age.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, but yeah, no, I remember we were doing book reports for sure. But I mean, they were still figuring out John Adams' Middle. That's what I like to look at.
Fair.
It.
Continue.
Yeah. Also, it's Feeny implies that he's Santa, which that would be interesting, right?
Santa Feeny, have you been good this year? I think you should be with him. I think you should have a little more practical gift. Oh yes, the Super Nintendo is a good idea, but how about this? How about you read the Grapes of Wrath? You'll appreciate the Great Depression more. I actually looked this up before logging into Zoom. Mark, William Daniels is alive and well.
Yeah, he is.
93 years young.
Also, he's on Cameo for $150, I believe.
That's money well spent. I don't care who you are.
Yeah, I know there's a couple of really choice people from Boy Meets World that are on Cameo that I might invest in for my own sake.
I watched because not long after Disney Plus launched, I think he did something kind of just addressing Mr. Feeny for the Today Show.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And he's still pretty lucid. Like he's definitely slowed down a bit. Like you can feel in terms of his speech pattern. He's definitely not as, I guess, sharp as he used to be, but he's still very lucid. He can still put his sentence together quite well. He hasn't lost anything mentally. He just generally slowed down, and it's great to see that he's still looking back fondly on this.
Yeah, and I think it might be one of his favorite roles he's had, honestly, like from what I gathered.
I mean, besides this and John Adams, what has he done?
Kit and Knight Rider.
Yeah.
Wasn't he like a doctor? He was in. Was he like in that hospital show, like a hospital show or something? Or am I going crazy?
Oh, that's right. He was on St. Elsewhere.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
That was before our time.
Yeah, I mean, we were alive for part of it for sure. Oh well.
Yeah.
But I mean,
I'll add it to my TV list.
Yeah, I probably won't. I find that Cory has to wear that nose all day. It's just I don't know why. Like clown noses make me laugh, even though I'm not a big fan of clowns.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely under like the harmless corporal punishment, where it's like you're not punishing the kid for what they did. You're just letting him know, like, hey, like you want to act stupid, I'm going to treat you like you're stupid.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it's kind of like the big thing of this episode, like about pretending to be something that you're not.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, Cory getting to see a bad thing like a moment later because Feeny knows that Cory is smart.
Yeah. Mr. Feeny's a very interesting character because obviously, like I watched more than just this episode in preparation for appearing on the show. Mr. Feeny's a very interesting character. He's kind of like that teacher who's a hard ass.
Yeah.
But deep down, he's a good person, and he really cares about his students. Like just that conversation he has with Cory in the yard, where they're drinking the apple juice out of the brandy snifters together.
And this is if Father Knows Less for those that are tuning in today. And
but Feeny's very astute, and like it kind of made me think about teachers I had who were like that. And I don't know about you.
Same here.
Yeah. Everyone has a Mr. Feeny story in some way, shape, or form.
Very true. And that's an important thing to have because especially, I don't want to get like on a rant about like schooling, but I mean, it's important to know that there are a lot of teachers out there in public school that care about people. Like all the teachers I know care. So.
Yeah, every teacher I know puts their students first. As like, they complain about the job like everyone does.
Yeah.
And they complain about some problem students that they have, but on the whole, they understand like they are doing a job to prepare these children for the world. And Mr. Feeny is one of those TV teachers, kind of in the same vein as Mr. Cotter, where he takes his job very, very seriously, and damn anyone who gets in his way.
Yeah. also, I want to talk about, like, even though we'll talk about this a little bit later, like, different than the Feeny stuff, but Minkus's airplane is legitimately amazing.
Airplane was legit. I knew a few kids in school who were handy and crafty like that, especially with paper.
Yeah.
But it just goes to show, like, there's always that one kid who's gonna fall down that Reddit or YouTube hole or go do that deep dive into one particular area and then just run with it.
I mean, I don't want to go like full deep into Minkus yet because this is actually a big Minkus episode, but I just have to like call attention to that airplane. Like, that airplane it's got a fucking propeller on it. Like, it's a piece of art. Like,
look at that airplane. It is legitimate art. It needs to be in a museum.
I can barely do a regular paper airplane, so I wouldn't even try making stuff like that. Mark, before we continue, this stuck out at me. The season 1 theme song is clearly different from what we're used to for the rest of the series. So the general tone and sound of it, you might remember this too. Back in the 90s, there was a Sega game, Ronald McDonald and Magic McDonald Land, and the theme song sounded very similar. Just like the general like use of the keyboard. And like,
I haven't thought that game in a very, very long time. Like, it took me a second, honestly, to realize like what you're talking about. And I'm like, oh wait, I know exactly what you're talking about. I don't remember anything about that game though, besides the title though.
It's an acid trip. That's all you need to know. That's it.
Cool.
Moving on. Back to the episode.
Yeah, no, I mean, always cool, fun little. As long as the tension's cool, I really don't care.
I had to drop in at least one random '90s reference in here because like I got to keep my brand going.
No, you have to. That's why we have you. Also, so I find it really fascinating. Sean had Detention also in this episode for art.
Yeah.
What could have caused that? Like my initial dumb brain thinks penis out or butt out, but
just when
like, because like he's so proud of it too. Like, it's like, yeah,
maybe he goes full Jackson Pollock and like is telling the teacher like not to get in his way when he works. My 7th grade art teacher, Miss Mason, she actually gave out detention left and right, but mostly it was because people were just being dicks in class.
Right, which I get that too, but like it just sounded like the way he said it, like it sounded like more artistic than like just like painting the teacher or something like that, which would have been a reason to get detention also.
Criticizing Picasso.
Yeah.
I know that some people like Cubism. I think it's trash, and anyone who likes it is an idiot. I know I shouldn't be saying that because I'm 11 and I know nothing about this world, but that I will die on this hill. I'm Sean. I have awesome hair. I'm rather strong, bitch.
That's his like one trait for the first season of Boy Meets World. That his hair is awesome. Like, that's
Mark, are you a Sean or a Cory? Be honest.
I'm a Cory, 100% a Cory. You're probably a Sean, aren't you?
That was my buzzer going off. I'm either Sean or an Eric. I mean, like, I'm definitely. Hold on, let me take the headphones off real fast.
Sure. We'll edit that part out.
So, from a hair standpoint, because we're in quarantine and I haven't been able to get a haircut for a couple of weeks, I'm definitely a Sean. But in terms of just general demeanor, I think I'm definitely more of an Eric.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So, fun fact about me as a nerd: I've had detention once in my entire life.
I was also kind of a nerd, although I was kind of more like a Jack Black kind of nerd as opposed to a Minkus nerd. If we're gonna.
I mean, I was a theater nerd, so I was like a different kind of nerd.
I was an Adam Goldberg nerd, Adam K. Goldberg.
Okay. Yeah,
that's who I was. Yeah, because I was a nerd, but I wasn't like an outcast. I had detention that I can remember, between 5 and 10 times in my school career.
I'll never forget, like, because it was for 7th grade English for Mr. Garcia's class, and I thought it was gonna be so fucking weird. But it was like I just knew everyone in the class were like either like a combination like the actual cool kids, like kind of jocks or whatever, and it was just like that weird thing of like I'm like, oh, this is nothing exciting or important. It just was a thing for like 30 minutes. Or like, I think like we did homework. I don't remember, but like
the times that I got detention, it was across 7th and 8th grade for Mrs. Pulver's science class. And I remember the entire thing lasted about 30 minutes, like between 20 and 30 minutes. Like she just had us do the previous night's homework assignment and then
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I find it so fascinating in this episode how Cory really wants to be treated as well as Minkus. Like, it's such a weird thing, you know? And then,
Yeah, because, like, the one thing I've noticed amongst class clowns, like, even though I was kind of a half-class clown and I knew more than a few across my schooling days, it's really just a cry for attention is what it is.
Which this episode's all about that, like,
yeah,
especially the second half of the episode. But
yeah, because I remember I had a first grade teacher, Miss Bautista, who would always say to me or like other kids who were acting up, she would say, "Do you want negative attention or do you want positive attention?" And I feel the nerds, since or Minkus, and we'll throw Sponge from Salute Your Shorts in this category as well because I got to drop a Nickelodeon reference in there. I feel that the nerds, for lack of a better word, they're doing their job. They're showing up, like, just trying to get through the day. So they're trying to get out of class as quickly as everyone else. And so therefore they're getting the positive attention. And as a result, Minkus got all this attention. And Minkus is very happy for a nerd.
He really is. Like, he chooses to be the nerd, which, I mean, that's not always the case, at least, you know, for me, and at least in elementary school. But I also love the way the camera is pointed at both Minkus and Cory while the IQ test results are, like, happening. Like, Minkus is just, like, so happy. And Cory is like, is it going to work? Is it going to work?
Yeah.
It's such a great moment. I actually have a screen cap of that right now.
Some kids who are getting excited for tests, at least in my schooling. God, I remember there was, we'll call her my rival. I'm not going to mention her name. But she's married with 2 girls right now. I don't want to jeopardize the innocent. But yeah, I remember she would always get really anxious about tests because she was very smart. Yeah. But apparently her parents put a lot of pressure on her, and anything that wasn't at least a 90 was met with like, oh, like, why didn't you get a 90? Like, what happened? So
yeah, I mean, thank God it's not my situation, but I get that. I really think it's really cool, like, how Feeny treats Cory after the test, because they do a really good job. What?
No, go ahead.
I think they do, like, I think the writers do a great job of making you think that he got away with it, you know?
Yeah, because
you don't really,
even though Mr. Feeny's kind of a tight ass, he does really care, like I mentioned.
Yeah.
And he definitely knew deep down Cory absolutely played some dirty pool.
He doesn't know what it is, and he's happy that his student is doing something good.
Yeah, and then, like, I initially wrote in my notes, like, when Feeny says, "Oh, you're going to go to this school, they're not going to have any sports except chess," and Cory is a huge Phillies fan, obviously, and probably by extension a huge Eagles, Sixers, and Flyers fan.
Right.
For any sports people who are listening, first off, they're perfect foils for each other. It's like Brian and Stewie, Homer and Bart, they play off of each other so well. And on top of that, you could see just in the way that William Daniels was performing the scene and just Mr. Feeny's overall tone, he was kind of sad that Cory would be leaving. Because even though Cory's kind of a dank and is a pain in Mr. Feeny's ass, they're still neighbors. He's watched Cory grow up. And there's definitely an element of sadness to it because you get used to seeing someone so consistently for so many years, and then all of a sudden they're not.
Yeah.
They're not there.
Yeah. It's...
And also the Captain Kierkegaard line, I died laughing at that.
That was really funny. Like, that's really highbrow for a Friday night sitcom on TGIF at that time, especially, you know.
I think it has to do with the fact that because we touched on earlier how so many shows at the time were using the Full House, that whole sort of wholesome family sitcom model.
Yeah.
One thing I noticed as a kid when I was watching Boy Meets World, I was laughing more at Cory and Sean's jokes, but now watching it as an adult, I'm laughing more at Mr. and Mrs. Matthews.
Yeah.
At Alan and Amanda.
Yeah.
So
Amy.
Amy, right? Yeah, I knew it was an A word. Yeah, and go ahead.
Yeah, no, you go first. I was going to change it to slightly different, but you go first.
Yeah, and I think it is a deep episode. So they had the Kierkegaard reference in there because they were trying to cater towards younger people, obviously. But since it's TGIF, the families at home watching TV together, they had to write some jokes in that were more highbrow and more on a higher level for the parents who might be watching, and had to sit through a philosophy 101 class and would know who Kierkegaard is.
And it's really good because like the B plot this episode's so silly. It's a really silly B plot. Like
it's the silliest. I love it.
Like it's also the first time that Eric calls Morgan Weasel, which is a nickname right. He calls her a lot throughout the series.
Yeah.
But like it's also like it was really like it was so jarring for me. Like, oh, that's the first time it happens. And like this is also the first time she has like a scene that's more than just like one or two funny lines and then like end of the scene.
Yeah, it's clear in the show's infancy Morgan is a Michelle Tanner knockoff.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Like I feel like every other episode for her, she has like maybe 7 lines in an episode. Like two scenes, like 7 lines, like says something funny, and he says something funny, she says something, and then it's over.
Dave Traynor was probably like, okay, how do we write Michelle Tanner without making it obvious?
Right. And which also will, when I get to the switch off from Lily Nixay to, oh my God, I've got the second Morgan actress's name.
Yeah, I can't remember her name.
But when they do that switch off where she's gone for like 20 episodes.
Yeah.
And she ages like 5 years.
I know.
But no, it was just so funny, like all that stuff involving that. And it was really great to see like how they used her in this episode a lot. Especially with that fucking zombie costume that we get to in the next scene with her.
That whole segment makes me so happy just because
it's so good. Like, oh my God, it reminds me so much like those because I remember one year my parents would dress up as the Crypt Keeper as a doctor. Like they bought it from like Party City, and it was like this really cool, like high-end bloody costume like that.
That's amazing.
Like I remember like, I have like, a stethoscope and the mask and everything, you know? I love it.
Yeah, I never really pushed the envelope that much with my Halloween costumes when I was a kid. I think that like the most provocative I got was maybe 5th grade when I had a full-on Freddy Krueger mask and
that's very provocative though.
Yeah, but like for 5th grade I guess because I had the mask, I had the hat, the sweater, I made like a little knockoff glove. I hadn't even seen Nightmare on Elm Street at this point, but I just knew who Freddy Krueger was, and I thought he'd be a great Halloween costume.
Yeah. We're gonna talk more about that zombie costume like, in a bit because like it's a pretty big plot point in this episode.
That's a very involved costume too.
It's a lot for like a $20 like costume, I'd assume.
Yeah, especially back in '93.
Yeah, like because the Matthews aren't going to spend more than probably like $40 on a costume in 1993 as a full-on middle-class family, you know?
Yeah, because like Alan runs a supermarket.
Amy has like 5 jobs.
Yeah, exactly.
Plus being a full-time mom.
Yeah.
But one of my favorite scenes in the whole first season is like the next scene, which is Cory orchestrating the orchestra with the foam finger on, just like like I would use shit like that all the time. Normally not.
I didn't use like a foam finger, but there was definitely more times when I'm in my room blasting either Guys and Dolls or Man of La Mancha and just kind of like like all around.
Oh my God, it's so great.
Yeah, maybe use like a wiffle bat instead of a conductor stick, and
it lasted so long. They let that scene go. Like it's so weird how this whole episode's maybe 8 or 9 scenes. They're all like 3-minute long scenes in this episode.
I'm trying to think that like for the seasons that they were shooting this, Mr. and Mrs. Savage were like, okay, Ben's going to go off his Ritalin on this date. He has to be hyper accordingly for the show.
Oh my God, just so great. And then like we get that beautiful first appearance of the zombie costume, which I do have a photo of right now.
Yeah.
And it's fucking great, man. Like it's just it's great. I love like As a Steve Martin nerd, anything that goes through the head will always make me laugh.
Absolutely. And as a horror nerd, just going as involved as how many 6-year-olds or however old Morgan is supposed to be, like how many single-digit age kids did you see going around with a zombie costume where one piece was an eye that was gouged out, just kind of
it literally was just hanging out there like right by her cheek.
Yeah, I never saw any costumes like that. If kids I grew up with wanted to be a zombie, a witch, or like a skeleton or whatever, their parents would do, okay, a little bit of a white face.
Well, underneath the cheek, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It was like they did it so that they were over and done with in about 5 minutes.
I do want to call out something that I'm very proud of that I caught this time. I talked about this in the pilot episode of Mark Remeets World, that the vending machine in the schools in the cafeteria scene now has food options. So I don't know if you caught this, Josh, when you watched the episode. In the first episode, like in the first 2 minutes of the episode, you see the vending machine, that same vending machine, and it's all apples. No, it's like oranges, ramen, and then apples or something like that. Like it's like very it's a lot. Yeah. Like it's a third. And like it was so weird seeing like, oh, there's like food in it. It's not just apples and ramen.
Yeah, I didn't notice that. I'll have to go back and look. But you did just remind me of a funny vending machine story I have from high school.
Oh, please tell me it.
Okay, so 9th grade, we got a soda machine in the student lounge. And it's okay. Put in $1, pick your soda, you got it.
Right.
So this is on a Friday in 9th grade, and my last period is health, which is taught by the gym teacher, Mr. Di Vittorio, or Mr. D as we called him. And I wanted something to drink because the class was held in a room off the lobby, so I knew, okay, let me just grab all my shit. But before that, I'm going to get a soda from the vending machine. This particular day, everything in the vending machine was sold out except Fresca. You remember Fresca?
Yeah.
So for some of our younger listeners, Fresca was, I shit you not, a grapefruit flavored soda that was real popular amongst our parents in the late 80s and throughout the 90s.
It's had a little bit of a resurgence recently, but still not popular.
Yeah, like if anyone now who's under the age of 30 and tells me they know what Fresca is, I'm like, what planet are you from? I don't trust you at all. So
get off my island.
Yeah. So I get the Fresca. At this point, I'm running late for class. I'm like racing downstairs, racing down 8 flights of stairs, and then I finally get there like literally 30 seconds after class has started. And so Coach D sees me. He goes, "Benjamin, you're late. And not only are you late, you were drinking that wimpy-ass Fresca in my class." Just put me – now, mind you, this health class was all of the 9th grade guys in this class.
Okay, yeah. No, I know exactly what you're talking about there. Yeah, like there's a situation like that in my school.
So it's like 20-something guys in this room, last period on a Friday, and they don't want to be there, and now one of their own has been thrown under the bus by the goddamn teacher. And now it's like, okay, well now we have to shit on Josh. It's the law.
Oh God, I love it. Oh my God. I remember once I wasn't I don't love diet soda. But I remember once I had to have it from the vending machine just because it was all that was left. Like when I have soda, my preference is Dr. Pepper. Not paid advertising like that, but just felt like saying I love Dr. Pepper.
I'm drinking some SodaStream Fountain Mist, which is their Mountain Dew knockoff and tastes exactly the same.
Great. Can't complain about that.
I'm going to be bouncing off the walls later.
Poor Caitlin. So I love that scene with the vending machine so much because it's another one of those rich Cory and Feeny scenes. Like you mentioned in Father Knows Less with them drinking the apple juice from the decanter. But I also love how this scene ends because you still feel like Cory's gotten away with it until the last line when it's when Feeny says, "Don't you love Halloween? Nobody is what they seem to be."
Mr. Feeny reminds me a lot of 2 teachers I had in school, both history teachers, oddly enough. Mr. Russell, who was kind of like a sarcastic asshole, but really did a good job of communicating the material and motivating students to do well, and also tried to make sure that all students were engaged in current events and what was going on in the world. Whereas I also had Dr. Jones, who was my AP history teacher, who was more conventional, more strict, more of like the Mr. Feeny type, but also like knew how to loosen up a little bit.
Yeah.
But just like so many times we're saying, like, guys, like this material is important for you to learn, and just like imparting all these little life lessons across the way, and like those still stay with me today.
That's great. That makes me so happy to hear that.
Respect teachers, ladies and
No,
gentlemen.
I really like. Oh my God, it's so great. Like I've got some teachers in my life. They're all theater teachers for the most part, because that's what worked for me the most. But like, no, I fully, the scene.
It's a great scene.
The scene that happens after, like immediately afterwards, with Cory and Sean, I think is Ryder Strong's best episode, like best part of an episode up to this point. Because it's just been like more about bouncing like a soundboard for Cory. Like he has some very funny lines. Like the lines I wrote down are actually from Cory, but like it's just a really funny dialogue. Like my favorite thing is towards the end of the scene when Cory says goodbye, or as Genius to say goodbye in Latin. Like that's what he says.
This is also the scene where Minkus really shows off the genius envy. He's not your average dweeb, and he's like, "Oh, I'll let you copy off my paper," and like, no, I'm not going to let you do that. Come on. Like, this is my territory. You're infringing on it. I'm the smart guy here. Go away.
Oh my God. And then like how they're talking about how the kids are going to make Minkus look like Fabio at Cory's new school he's going to go to.
Yeah. Oh God. And just the image of like just a spin-off series, Fabio as Minkus, where he's this tech billionaire now. He's got 3 different women surrounding him, and he's still got the glasses, and just somehow has developed a really weird accent.
Have you watched any Girl Meets World?
Oh God. I think I've seen a few clips here and there on YouTube.
Minkus is a relatively big character in the show, so. I've only seen like a part of the first season, but like it's jarring what they did to him. Still sort of the same, but not at all.
All right, I'll have to get on that.
So I want to talk about that the test that Cory has to take to get into that new school.
Sure.
When I was watching the episode, I was convinced that like because the administrator from the school has like the most insane British accent. Like that very British, like horrible cliche.
I guess Angela Lansbury wasn't available for a guest spot.
Which I did some research on this lady. Her name is Jane Carr, and she is like the British, like fairy godmother voiceover artist.
Is she British herself?
Yeah, she's British. Like,
oh wow, okay.
Like from Essex. Like, yeah.
Yeah, because I was gonna say like the accent sounds almost too exaggerated to be naturally British.
Yeah, no, I was like, this is fake, and then I'm like, oh, this is her thing. She's the British that does the cliche British accent. Like, yeah.
It's like a little bit of England, a little bit of a really upper crust New England, circa 1954.
That weird transatlantic dialect that you hear about, like in a lot of things,
like the Cary Grant voice.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I also love how she interacts with Morgan, like when she's like, oh, maybe that the gin's like passed on, and like then she's like, I forget what the exact analogy is, but Morgan's response is booger.
Yeah.
It was like maple tree or something like that. Like it was like with trees and elms.
Oh, maple is to elm as something is to booger.
Yeah.
And this is making me think of just the general trope that we saw a lot of in the 90s, like, especially with Rick Moranis in the Parenthood movie.
Yeah.
Of trying to get your young child to be a genius instead of just letting them be a kid.
Yeah.
I mean, like as someone who does have a child on the way, I already know. Like I'm gonna let my kid know, hey, education is a wonderful gift, and to waste it is horrific. But at the same time, put the books down, play some PlayStation, go shoot some hoops, go be a child, go have fun.
Yeah, and I know Caitlin's gonna encourage that too. So
yeah, absolutely.
You guys are the best.
We like to think so.
And like it's also really cool that like that like also ties into like what happens in the scene, because Alan and Amy are like, we're like normal and we want our kids to be normal, and they also like clearly knew that Cory did something wrong in the test without like Feeny ever telling him that.
And at the same time, Amy very thinly makes the point that standardized testing as a whole is a crock of shit.
Yeah.
How like SAT scores. I know some people who got sub 1200 on the SATs on the 1600 scale, and they're doing fine. They're wonderfully intelligent people. Just tests affect everyone else differently.
I never took my SATs because I had an anxiety attack.
Oh wow.
That's a very real fact. I don't talk about it too often, but like, I was going to like I signed up for the SATs, studied, had a really really bad anxiety attack. This is back when my anxiety attacks were kind of newly known to me, because this was 11th grade. I found anxiety and depression in 10th grade, and I remember I just like shut down mentally and like didn't even make it into the test room.
Yeah, I didn't. I had an anxiety issue. I don't want to say attack. When I took, this is a chapter of Josh's life that we don't talk about very often. So after college, I took the GRE because I thought I was going to try to go to grad school.
You told me about that once, yeah.
Yeah. So this is 2009. I had bronchitis and was just coughing left and right. I get to the test center, which is by Grand Central, and they see how much I'm coughing, and I say, "Hey, like, here's a note for my doctor. I've been coughing a lot, and like, it's involuntary. I am going to need to bring tissues in along with my pencil." And they wouldn't let me do that. So throughout the test, I'm coughing left and right, having to get up and spit in the garbage can. And so as a result, I'm rushing through the entire test, and I fucking bombed it. But then I didn't wind up going to grad school after all, so it all worked out in the end.
In a lot of different ways for you.
Yeah.
Also, like in this episode, like I want to talk about like the last scene. So the last scene is the first really funny George Feeny scene. Like he hands out rulers for Halloween. Also, like before he even enters, Morgan's like giving out candy for Halloween. She's like, one for you, and one for me. It's just a giant pot of candy right there, right next to the door. So great. And then like Feeny realizes like no one wants the rulers. And he asks like if they can get like if he can steal some candy from Amy and Alan. And then like while that happens, trick-or-treaters come up, and like a kid that sounds like Cory is like, "Oh yeah, my friend Cory Matthews is in your class. I heard he's really good." And like Feeny's like, "It's you," and he lifts up the mask. Sees like a redheaded kid, and he's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." And he hands the kid like all the rulers as an apology. And then like
buying him off.
And then like you find out that one of the other kids takes off his mask, and it's Cory. So it's like Cory's plan was to get all the rulers.
He's building a bomb with them.
I mean, that's what you do with rulers, you know.
He's gonna build thrusters for his treehouse and fly it to the moon.
Is there anything you want to say about this episode before we go to the other stuff we talked about?
No, this is I think we covered everything. I mean, during Amy's bit where she's telling the school lady, hey, like when she's pretty much saying, "Hey, we're a normal family," I literally just went, "Yes!" like that.
Yeah.
Just because
like,
I have a.
So, you just totally cut off there. What?
I have lots of opinions about standardized testing, so that really struck home to me.
Yeah. Okay, so let's bring up the Minkus minute.
Minkus minute.
Yeah.
All right. So this is like a really weird Minkus first. Minkus is heavy in the first half of this episode. Like the fact that like he writes a haiku for a test answer.
Yeah, I mean, like I knew plenty of overachievers when I was in, middle school, high school, and college. They never went that far. Like, because I remember, at least for me, writing a haiku, that was a means of cutting a corner. Of just like it's 575. Yeah, you can find, you're creative enough that you can find a way to pull one out of your butt, and the teacher will like it.
Mm-hmm.
So that just seemed very un-Minkus for me.
It was just so like he performs it like, and it's like the first like 3 minutes of episode just Minkus being like that weird artistic side of Minkus that you don't get too much of in most of the series.
Right.
It's more like Minkus be like, "I'll get you" or whatever if he's not in there playing in the episode.
Yeah.
Also,
no, go ahead.
First.
I just felt that like Minkus, like, if it was just an in-class assignment, I feel Minkus would do a haiku. For a test, I had a hard time believing that he would actually do that. That's just me nitpicking.
Yeah. I do love the fact that he calls Sean a troglodyte.
Yeah.
Which I had to look that up because I forgot what that was. I was like, oh, caveman. Okay, cool. That makes sense.
Yeah. I don't think I was ever called a troglodyte or called anybody a troglodyte. I just like, I'm like Murray Goldberg. My go-to then and now is still moron.
Yeah. I just love how it goes like brown noser, troglodyte. That's what they say to each other.
I'm going to use a word you can't even spell. So.
Yeah, Jesus. Anything else you want to add for the Minkus minute?
No. Hail Minkus. He's great.
Hail Minkus. That was the Minkus minute.
Minkus minute.
Nerds are power.
So now we're going to talk about my favorite segment of this show, Betsy Randall's best TV mom.
A one, 2, 3, 4. Betsy Randall's the best TV mom. Yeah.
So this is not the richest episode for her, but it's what she has, she does good with.
Yeah, Betsy Randall as Amy Matthews, because like I don't really know much else of what she did besides Boy Meets World.
Right.
But like definitely just because like I as I told you a few days ago, this is my first time rewatching Boy Meets World since it was on the air. Or rewatching any of it. And watching it, like you realize, wow, like Amy Matthews, she's up there with some of the top TV moms.
She really is. Like I'm not like it's not a bit like Amy Matthews from episode 1 is a strong, awesome feminist who loves her kids and loves her husband and is also about having a good time. Yeah, but you don't get that combination normally in like TV in at least the early 90s.
Yeah, she kind of reminds me of sort of like a loosened up version of Mrs. Darling from Clarissa Explains It All.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, because I definitely saw how they borrowed from Clarissa Explains It All, especially in building the parents.
Yeah.
Because Alan definitely reminds me a lot of Joel O'Connor in several ways, in like mannerisms and the way he talks to his kids. But you could tell, like, they were still just trying to follow that wholesome 90s trope of like, yeah, the parents are firm, but they're also setting it up so that when their kids are adults, they can still be close.
Right. One of the things that really stood out for me for her in this episode was how much she truly loves her kids. How, like, when, like, she talks to Eric about the zombie costume, she's like, why don't you get her, like, a Cinderella costume? Like, really, a Cinderella costume? And he's like, no. She just wanted this, and it was like a very cute little, like, okay, all right, so this is my daughter, and like, there's a lot of like warmth from her in this episode. It's like, it's not like her richest episode by any means or anything like that, but like, it's one of those episodes where like, even like in the last scene when the administrator for that school is like railing on them for being normal people, like she's just so like, I'm okay being normal. She was happy watching Cory conduct, stuff like that. Like, it was great in that regard.
Yeah, there was, like, just going back to the Clarissa Explains It All comparison I was making, there was an episode just like that at one point where this guidance counselor thinks that Clarissa's a little too much of a free spirit and needs to kind of like get serious, essentially. And then she comes over to the darling's house, and Clarissa's parents are like, no, we love our daughter just the way she is. You're crazy. You're the one who needs to get serious.
I love it. I love it so much. Oh my God.
Yeah.
It just
it's a 90s fest, ladies and gentlemen.
It makes me so happy. It'll always be 90s fest here at Mark Remeets World until season 7 when it's 2000.
2000.
All right, so now we're gonna get down to the MVP of the episode. This is a tough one, I thought.
It was tough, and then I was wrestling with this up until the very end. Mm-hmm. But who did you have for your MVP?
I'm actually shocked with my MVP, honestly.
Okay.
Honestly, I'm very. as someone that's rewatched the whole series, I think this might be the only time they actually get the MVP. Morgan, Lily Nixie.
Morgan was my MVP as well.
Yeah! Like,
So,
because, like, she does so much in, like, 3 scenes. And, like, they finally give her something to do instead of just being, like, the cute little sister. Like, part of me wanted to give this to Cory, but, like, he had a lot of the episode, but the whole B plot rests on her shoulders.
Yeah, I almost gave the MVP, the episode MVP to Amy. But then I realized, like she really only has that one shining moment, whereas Morgan's a rock star from start to finish.
Yeah,
and she's also the ultimate punchline when she comes out to the school administrator in full zombie gear. And it's just like, what you gonna do? I have my eye hanging out. What you gonna do? So
it's so great that like they let the comedy rest on the person that they have not let the that's only been there for comedy relief for like 5 lines an episode at this point.
Yeah, but once they gave her some agency, they gave Morgan something to do except, be the Michelle Tanner knockoff. And she
be Stephanie Tanner.
Ran with it. Yeah, she took the ball and ran with it and took it to the house.
Yeah, cool, awesome.
Yeah.
Josh, anything else you want to say before we start wrapping up?
Just that you can follow me on Twitter at JoshBESNY. You can find some good Yankees and Knicks content there for any sports fans who are listening. I'm trying to tweet more about what I'm watching on TV. I just finished season 2 of Dead to Me, and I'm still shook from that. Christina Applegate deserves to win several Emmys for that. Just give them all to her by default. But yeah, JoshBESNY on Twitter. That's basically it.
Cool, and I'll have that inside the comments, like the episode description and stuff like that, and I'll pop up also when I introduce you too. Cool. For me, we're here every Monday. Mark Remeets World at gmail.com if you want to email the show a question, be on the show or whatever. I'm here. I'm doing new episodes every week. Next week's guest is going to be one that I've been trying to get since the beginning. Dear friend of mine, Shamira Clark, if all works out. She's also, like me, a big Boy Meets World fan. Like Rachel also is too. And Josh I want to have back again, of course, because I love the idea of having someone my age also rewatching the show.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this was a lot of fun. I'm glad you had me on.
But so happy to have you, and
Thanks for having me.
Hope to see you guys soon. See you next week.
See you next week.